Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and what do I expect from this NBA season. So before we start today's video, I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you guys think of this year's 76ers? Okay, and we'll address the Ben Simmons rumors at the end of the video. We're going to go into this video expecting him to be on the roster, and then towards the end we'll talk about what the roster and expectations could be if he is moved before the season, as he's announced that he's going to skip training camp and he's willing to pay the $1.3 million in fines he will receive if he does skip training camp, as his team, his camp, has came out and said they're willing to pay up for the ramifications of what he wants to do. So right now we expect the starting lineup to most likely be, if Ben Simmons is there, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Danny Green, Seth Curry. I expect that to be the starting lineup. And with the bench probably going to be ran by Tyrese Maxey as the sixth man, then Georges Niang as the backup power forward, with Andre Drummond as the backup center, then probably Furkan Korkmaz, tell me if I said that correctly. If not, tell me how to say it down below, as the shooting guard, and Matisse Thybulle as the small forward. And then that leaves Tyrese Maxey as this backup point guard unless they put Shake Milton. I don't know why I was trying to say Middleton. Shake Milton as the primary six man, but I think Tyrese Maxey has earned his stripes to be the team's six man and primary backup point guard. But we could see Shake Milton and Tyrese Maxey split that duty as the backup point guard behind Seth Curry, who I believe Seth Curry is going to be the starting point guard this year for the team, as he's just going to provide that spacing. Like the starting guards are going to technically be Danny Green and Seth Curry, with Tobias Harris technically being the small forward and Ben Simmons the power forward, even though Ben Simmons is the facilitator. I think the two guard spots are going to be Green and Curry, with, obviously Korkmaz and Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton being the primary backups for the guard spots right there. And also a little bit of Matisse Thybulle will play shooting guard, but I think he'll play a lot more small forward. Then Jaden Springer, I expect we'll see a little bit of him because he's a really good defender, but I don't expect him to get more than 15 minutes a night due to the fact that he's an inefficient scorer, unless he shows that he can be a consistent scorer and a consistently efficient on offense. And because he plays a similar style as Dillon Brooks, which is bully ball, and he's a very, tenacious defender and pesky defender. He's a great defender, and I think a better one than Dillon Brooks, but similar scoring style. And we know Dillon Brooks for the first few years wasn't the most efficient, and the 76ers don't have the luxury that the Grizzlies did to just let Dillon Brooks play through that. So I think Jaden Springer will play a little bit off the bench. And now if we move over to the small forward position, like I said, Tobias Harris is going to be the primary small forward, with, I personally believe, Matisse Thybulle being the primary backup right there, playing a lot of minutes, even probably starting Matisse Thybulle on certain lineups. And I think Georges Niang will play some small forward, but he's mainly a stretch four in my opinion, because I don't think he's athletic enough to keep up with wings. And I think Furkan Korkmaz will be another guy you'll see play some small forward. But I believe Isaiah Joe, he's a guy who can play shooting guard or small forward. He's like 6'5", 6'6", and maybe even 6'7". He's like 6'6", we'll say, but he has a 7-foot wingspan. He's a great shooter at Arkansas. He's in his second season, so I expect him to have an impact playing shooting guard, small forward. So don't be surprised to see, besides Furkan Korkmaz and Matisse Thybulle, backing up Tobias Harris at the small forward / wing position, you'll see a little bit of Isaiah Joe, I personally believe. And even when they go small, you could see maybe Danny Green go out there into the small forward position. Then at power forward, I think it's, again, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons. I think we'll see Paul Reed. I think Paul Reed's one of the best defenders from his draft class, and he was putting on a show in the summer league. So I expect Paul Reed to have a major role on this. He's a versatile defender. He can guard every single position. He can hit threes. He grabs rebounds. He does hustle plays. He does everything you need. So I expect, the power forward to be Ben Simmons, backed up by Georges Niang and Paul Reed as the primary backup fours. And, maybe we see a little bit of Matisse Thybulle or even Danny Green on super small ball lineups, which maybe their super small ball lineup might be Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle, and Seth Curry, which, Matisse Thybulle and, probably a power forward, maybe Georges Niang or Tobias Harris, and then Joel at the center. And then the center position is pretty easy. Obviously, Joel Embiid, the guy who almost won MVP. If he hadn't gotten hurt, he probably would have won it. And he's probably going to come out vengeance this year and win it this year. And Andre Drummond will back him up. And my only problem was Andre Drummond was awful in the playoffs. He just didn't seem focused all the time. So hopefully he's there ready to redeem himself. There's 14 players on this roster. They have Aaron Henry, who really, he's one of the most athletic players coming out of this draft class. He's a great defender. He can guard every single position except the center position. And his one thing was he was a 38% three-point shooter his freshman year. Then he went to 33, and then he went to 30 this year. So he regressed as a shooter in college, which is not something you normally see. So I think he'll spend a year on the two-way. But I think a guy who get called up, spent a year last year on a two-way contract, Grant Riller. And Grant Riller was a stud at Charleston. And I expect him, because this team behind Tyrese Maxey and Jaden Springer don't have a true point guard. Really, Tyrese Maxey and Jaden Springer are both combo guards with point guard-like skills. They can play point guard, but you know Grant Riller's the only true, pure point guard besides Ben Simmons on this roster. So with that being said, I expect this team to be one of the top 4 seeds. You know, the Knicks, Nets, Heat, Bucks, and Sixers and Bulls. Those are the top 6 teams in my top six seeds in the East, in my opinion. And I think 6th seed being their floor is the most likely, with obviously the 1st seed being their ceiling. Now, the part that we're going to talk about that probably everybody's been waiting all video for me to discuss is, you know, our man Ben Simmons. Okay, and I tried to scour the internet and I tried to find a Ben Simmons trade that was realistic. I don't think any of them are realistic, but I think what the most realistic news we've gotten is, look, the Raptors, Kings, Timberwolves, and Warriors have all reached out. I think those are the 4 teams that are going to try to get him. I don't think the Warriors are going to try to get him, and I don't think the Raptors are. All right? And at this point, I think the Wolves are going to use the Kings, because really the Kings, Grizzlies, and Thunder are only 3 teams that have the cap space to be used as and the Mavericks, but I doubt the Mavericks do it, to be used as a 13 fiddle. While the Grizzlies and Thunder, I don't think they have any players they'd be willing to trade. So the Kings, in my opinion, were the only team that had a player they'd be willing to trade. So this deal wouldn't be able to happen until October 6th, because Taurean Prince has a restriction that doesn't expire until the 27th of September, and Tristan Thompson has a 2-month restriction that doesn't expire until the 6th, but that still gives them 2 weeks before the season. So right here, the 76ers get 5 picks and 3 players. Those 3 players being Malik Beasley, Taurean Prince, and Josh Okogie. Josh Okogie and Taurean Prince are both on expiring deals, and they give up about $33 million in cap space and only have to take on 27.4. So right there, they get a top 8 pick from the so they get 4 picks from the Timberwolves. 2024 top 8 protected, 2026 top 10 protected, then pick swaps in 2022 and 2028. And then besides Josh Okogie and Taurean Prince and Malik Beasley being sent there, the Timberwolves would send Jake Layman and Naz Reid and a 2nd-round pick to the Kings for the Kings, you know, pick swap with the Sixers. And the Kings get Layman and Naz Reid for Tristan Thompson. Timberwolves end up with Ben Simmons and Tristan Thompson. They need a backup center. He's on a year deal. You get him there. Then they add Ben Simmons. And if you look at this, the Kings, you know, they clear cap space. And honestly, I think they get the spacing they needed. And they get a big man with potential who's on a 2-year deal. And they get a 2nd-round pick. So I think that's a win-win situation there for them. Then it says the 76ers are 3 games worse, but I think they get another guard, which Malik Beasley signed long-term on a cheap deal. They get a great power forward, small forward, in Taurean Prince, and they get a defensive stud who can guard all 4 positions in Josh Okogie, who's a good slasher, and they get 5 picks. So I think that's a really good deal for them. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this video? What do you guys think the Sixers record is going to be? So let me hear those down below. Peace out, guys.